All right, all right. What's going on, guys? Friday. I'm Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist, your favorite PR and visibility strategist in San Diego. And today, we're going to talk about media interviews. We're going to talk about why you're not getting them. We're going to talk about how to get more and the secrets behind how I got 255 media interviews. Damn near for free. I think in my entire career, I've been doing this for 10 years, maybe 8. I might have paid $97 once for an interview, once, and that was to a friend. Think about that. 255 media interviews plus, maybe even 300 by now. It's been a hot minute. And I paid one time because it was a friend. That's pretty good ROI. All right. We're going to cover a couple of different angles of looking at this, but I'm going to show you guys exactly how I got a ton of media interviews, how you can tailor it to whatever it is that you're doing. Collie Turner and Lady Oceanside, what's up? And I'm going to show you guys the mindset and tactics you have to develop to become a media machine. I literally have a media request in my inbox right now. I'm going to respond to it after I get done with this. But I have strangers reaching out to interview me, and it's a good feeling. My inbox on Facebook has all kinds of podcasters and journalists and reporters wanting to talk to me, and I'm going to show you guys how I got that ball rolling. Before we get started, as always, my content is brought to you by Shift Magazine, Shift Advanced Life Design, free to read at shiftlifedesign.com. You can check it out. You get a free subscription if you enter your email into the website and get Shift in your inbox forever. We do sell advertising. We do sell features. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions. Shift is for entrepreneurs, and it is veteran-owned, focusing on deconstructing the habits of top performers. I have had Shift for 10 years. I am the founder, and I've had a lot of fun bringing people's stories to life. We're actually working on the next issue as we speak. But we've covered Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, the incredible Marshall Terran. I've even made the cover myself twice when I've hit an income goal. All right. So let's talk about media. Let's talk about what it takes. The main reason that most people don't get interviews, and this is going to surprise you, it's because they're boring. I know that is not the answer you expect, but it's true. If you don't have a hot angle, if you don't have an opinion, if you don't have a platform, if you don't have an interesting story, nobody's going to want to interview you. Let's be honest. And once I packaged my story and I figured out the details and I said, okay, I have a crazy life experience, crazy life story. I went from this to this. And once I was able to articulate it and let people know, I started getting interviews like crazy. I got like 10 to 20 immediately. This is back in the day when podcasts first came out. I was a crazy in-demand guest for podcasts. And then I got on TV for a book I wrote. And then it just kept going. Awards, magazine covers, TV, radio, newspapers. But it always comes back to podcasts. I'm very grateful. So basically, you need to figure out what it is that makes you interviewable. And you might be subconsciously boring. And what I mean by that is you're not presenting yourself in a way that's appealing. It's just like dating. In dating, when I exercise a lot and I dress nicer and I wear good cologne and I hit the gym more, I do better. That's the bottom line. I think that works for anybody. That's pretty much across the board. Your media interviews are the same way. So let's say that your social media is really on fire. Good branding, strong pictures. You're really outspoken, like you're a great speaker, you're confident on camera, and you have something that you can share with the world, like a great story. Right, Rakisha or Maria Hernandez? You've got something you want to tell the world, okay? The most important thing is figuring out how you're going to tell it to the world. What I mean is your angle. And when I work with clients, I teach them, okay, it's not enough to tell your story. How does your viewpoint affect that story? Did you go through a metamorphosis? Did you go from this to this? I was literally a high school dropout and college dropout, raised by a crack addict, alcoholic parent, moved 16 times in my childhood, and today I'm a 6-degree PhD. That's a story. That's why I got a ton of interviews, because people are like, dude, how did you do that? Like, how did you get the self-determination and the courage and the strength and the passion to turn your life around so that you didn't repeat your family's mistakes? That's why people interview me. Once you get your story together, it can be a couple different angles. It can be a couple different ways to figure this out, okay? To maximize your interviewability. And we got Big Country popping on. I see him watching. Big Country is a guy that had an amazing story. And we started working together. He's one of my clients, full disclosure. But we started working together. I saw a TikTok of a guy named Big Country with a prosthetic working out in the gym, being a fucking savage animal. And I reached out to him like, dude, you have an incredible story. Can I work for you? Can I do your PR? Can I help you tell your story? And we got him sponsors. Got him. You want proof of concept? There we go. There's Big Country on the magazine cover. But the point is, we took this story and we talked about, hey, how'd you lose your leg? How'd you survive a car accident? How'd you become a 32 medal winning para-athlete and rank number 3 in the country in under 5 years? Like, how did you go from this to this? That's a story. Okay. So that's part one, is developing the story and figuring out the angle. When you're working on your angle, you can be a subject matter expert. You can have a crazy life experience like me or Big Country. You can have a result or an achievement. A result is the end of something you've worked on that did really well, right? Let's say you launched a business, hit 6 figures in 6 months. That's impressive. An achievement is like writing a book, or, founding a company, or, getting an award. There's achievement can be a lot of things. If you're shooting for TV interviews, live demo is also a choice. Live demo means, you ever watch a TV like morning news, and they bring somebody in studio and they got like dancing dogs, or they're cooking something, or they're giving a martial arts demonstration, or they're exercising or doing something, right? That's live demonstration. So that's an example of an angle. That's a very specific one, though, because that requires you to be in person in studio. So now you've learned how to tell your story. You've learned how to craft your angle. A lot of times they'll bring people in for media interviews or podcast interviews or whatever, just for their opinion. Be opinionated. But I would caution you, there's a price you pay if you turn into a firebrand. What's a firebrand? It's a person that exists to piss people off. The AOCs of the world, the Marjorie Taylor Greens, Donald Trump, like people that just go online and say things to piss people off. Most of the time intentionally, let's be honest. Being a firebrand means that you're going to spend a lot of time arguing online. You're going to attract a lot of people to you that will not help you in business. And you're going to be surrounding yourself with the dumbest people that get somehow found a computer. So be very careful when you're speaking your mind and you're giving your opinion on things. I have always shied away from being a firebrand. I am outspoken about certain things. I'm very passionate about certain things. I will never discuss politics, religion, sports, any dumb bullshit. Like, I don't have time. And like I said, people that exist to be firebrands and to piss people off, they're not being edgy. They just exist to spread misery. Rob's 2 cents. And it's not a good way to get famous. It's not a good way to build your brand. You'll notice, like, whenever I'm talking about stuff, I never, ever talk about controversial issues. I don't talk about race. I don't talk about gender stuff. I don't talk about transgendered. I don't talk about anything that really has no purpose. I'm a teacher through and through. I'm an ex-college professor, ex-high school teacher. I believe in just educating people about business and PR. That's my passion, right? So I would just warn you, if you're talking about current events and talking about things to piss people off, you're chasing money away. You're literally pushing it away. You're repelling it. My 2 cents, okay? Have opinions on things, but use common sense. That's all I'm going to tell you. Ladies, you should speak up about pay inequality or sexual harassment, things like that. Men, you should speak up about, unfair custody stuff or divorce hearings or, child support, things like that affect you, unfairly. You should have opinions, but like I said, if you go out of your way to piss people off, you're just wasting a lot of your own time. I don't know. That's how I look at it. Okay. So now you figured out your story. You figured out how to not be boring. And there are a couple ways to not be boring. First of all, craft your story, dress to impress, and learn to speak comfortably in front of the camera, right? You guys see me like every single day. I do a TikTok live. I do a Facebook live. It goes out to like a bunch of Facebook pages and LinkedIn and YouTube every single day. And I'm reasonably comfortable in front of camera. A friend of mine told me, like, hey, I watched your stuff. You seem very, very at ease when you're speaking to the camera. How do I learn? Practice. That's it. Start with podcasts and then practice if you're a little weird about going live. It is a little nerve-wracking at first, I'm not going to lie. Figure out what you're going to say, like have an agenda in front of you so that you know what to speak about, so you're not just like rambling off crazy. Have like bullet point items that you can speak upon and have some kind of structure. That usually helps, makes you a little more entertaining. Right, Tiffany? Okay, now the important stuff. And I would suggest, when I say dress to impress, if you're going live, I would suggest that you wear something cool or some jewelry, something interesting, and you have a cool background. Like this stuff helps when you're making content. Don't be boring really does affect your interviewability. You want to be dynamic is the word that I always use. You want to be someone that's got like good energy and you're enthusiastic and you're legit happy to, show up to be there. Now, let's talk about the actual process of securing the interviews. Okay. I've taught you guys like how to be interesting. I've taught you guys like the angles to create. Now, if I wanted to get, let's say just Rob wanted to get 5 interviews within 5 days, I could easily do it. If I really sat down and brewed a pot of coffee and just dedicated 2 days to it, I could probably line up 15 interviews for the month of October without a lot of work. And I'm going to teach you guys exactly how to do it. Right, Nicole? Right, Daisy? Right, Palmas? This is exactly what I would do. Okay, first of all, you figure out your angle, why you should be interviewed, what's important about you, what you're an expert in, what your opinion is, like, and always have 3 talking points, and they need to be sexy. They need to be interesting. Okay. Your talking points for media interviews should either stir the pot a little, or be interesting or pique curiosity, right, Michelle? People need to know something that is interesting about you. So when I'm pitching, one of my talking points is the 3 things I did to go from high school dropout to PhD. Bet your ass people are going to tune in and want to know what the hell this guy did in order to finish his PhD and to become a successful entrepreneur. That's a good hook. One of your talking points should be an attractive hook. Okay. Now, Rob's been challenged. How would Rob get 15 interviews for the month of October? Right out the gate, I would write out my media pitch using ChatGPT. And I would just enter in a paragraph with my talking points, my contact info, my website at garciaglobalmedia.com, and then have it Google me and draw information from that. I'm Googleable. Some of you guys aren't. It's okay. Enter in any information that you feel is relevant for a media pitch. You're going to want like a little bit of your past experience, maybe some previous interviews you've been to, things like that. Once it kicks you out your media pitch, review it, fix it if it's jacked up, have some contact info. Anyway, now you got this media pitch, right? It's gorgeous, and you can send it out anywhere. And you can personalize it if you want. Dear NBC, dear CBS, dear freaking Hot Ones, Wing Podcast, whatever. Now, you've got this pitch. This is asset one. Asset two is going to be your research database. Super, super easy. And this is why most people don't get interviews, because they don't do the research. Like I said, if Rob was challenged, I'm going to talk about myself in third person, a little douche. If Rob was challenged to get 15 interviews in October, the very first thing I would do, I would get a piece of paper after my pitch is written. I would make sure it's current. And I would type in podcast on Facebook and LinkedIn and start listing out everybody that pops up that has a podcast that's either veteran-based or business-based, because you have to match niche and industry. If I'm talking about my own story going from high school and college dropout to PhD, education would also be on that list. Once that's done, okay, and that'll take you like less than a day. So once that's done, you'll probably have 10 good podcasts you can apply to. The next thing I would do is, and this is a real sneaky, dirty trick. You people on TikTok should be thanking me for this one. Go to Facebook and find the group called Be a Podcast Guest. Go in there, put a good picture of yourself, and pitch yourself. And that'll get you at least 3 interviews, at least. So right out the gate, there's 3 ways. Next, find your 4 big TV stations. NBC, CBS, ABC, Fox, and then type in the call letters and the word contact or submit and send your pitch. Send in a headshot, include your contact info, and this is important in the headline, story idea hyphen, and then a very short version, a summary of what your story angle is. A lot of people mess this up, right, Maravolosa? They do not know what they're doing, and they send in slop when they pitch themselves. So this is how you do it from a pro. So now you have a chance of getting on TV. I've used that method to get 39 people on TV. It works. Not every time, but it works pretty well for Stories Good. Okay. Now. So once you do those things, you should be able to secure between 5 and 15 interviews for October. That's how easy it is. If you want to pitch like newspapers, you can. If you want to submit to business reporters, you can. And if you're an entrepreneur or a business owner and you want to not pay $1 bajillion to some idiot to get you an advertorial on Business Insider or Forbes or Entrepreneur, start Googling writers, entrepreneur, Fortune, Forbes, Fast Company, Business Insider. You can use ChatGPT if you want. It might give you a current list. Write to each of them with your pitch. You have a reasonable chance of them picking it up if your story is interesting enough, or if you've got a good case study, like you went from this to this. Your business went from this to this in this time. Like, think about a creative way so that you can tell your story. Vitamin C Wellness, what's going on? All right. TikTokers, do you have any questions about this stuff? You guys are always like super quiet. If you have a question, feel free to pop in. I'm going to be going for another minute or two. But I love teaching this stuff. I want to show you guys how to get a bunch of media interviews. I want to show you guys like how anybody, like regular people, can get media interviews. You do not have to be rich. You don't have to be famous. You sure as fuck don't have to be good looking. I am living proof of that. And I have like almost 300 interviews under my belt. You just have to have a good story, and you have to be comfortable on camera or comfortable being interviewed. And the biggest mindset shift is that you are not an ordinary person. I'm going to repeat this for everybody watching this, especially on TikTok. Like I feel like TikTokers are like this quiet majority because they're all over the country and they watch this and they're scrolling through and they're like, holy shit, he might be talking to me. This fancy San Diego award-winning PR guy might be talking to me in my little apartment in Ohio, or my house in freaking Wisconsin, or San Antonio, or wherever. Rob might be talking directly to me. Yes, I am. I am a very normal person. I grew up in a logging town. I grew up extremely poor. I had absolutely no hope in life, and I had a severe learning disability. Okay? If I can do this, and get hundreds of interviews telling my story, so can you. You do not have to be already established. I mean, it helps. Don't get me wrong. It helps. But if you are a, quote, ordinary person and you've never been interviewed, I'm empowering you right now. You can get interviews. You can get a ton of interviews for whatever your story is. Just develop it. Learn how to create a database. Learn how to pitch yourself. Use ChatGPT if you have to help if your writing isn't great or your formatting isn't great. I use it all the time for media pitches and for press releases and stuff. But honestly, there's a ton of interviewers out there. There's a ton of podcasters. There's a ton of journalists. There's a ton of reporters. And as I always tell people, because I have to snap people out of ordinary person shyness and get them in celebrity mindset. Right? Savagely Truth or Sarah Matheson. I have to remind people, hey, anyone can be a celebrity the day they decide to. Okay? And Texas Fishing Gal, if you do not pitch yourself to the news, you know what they're going to run? The water skiing squirrel. And I tell people that as a joke, but it's true. The news needs coverage every single day. They need stories every single day. And if you do not pitch yourself, there will be a water skiing squirrel on a news story with an adorable little orange vest just going around water skiing because you didn't pitch yourself. And I want you guys to always remember that. Always go for coverage. Always go for coverage. And it's not that hard to do. You just have to make your database. You have to figure out what type of coverage matches your business model. And I think Texas Fishing Gal is Teresa. And if it is, say hi. So understand, I know this sounds like a lot. I've covered a lot of territory. I've been going for like 20 minutes. I've been covering a lot of territory, but it's worth it, guys. It's worth it to get coverage for whatever it is that you're doing because the coverage stacks. Every time you get an interview, pops up on Google, pops out to a new audience, right? And you start Googling yourself and you're like, oh shit, there's my interview. That time I was on TV or that press release I issued or that article I was in. But this stuff stacks. And once you get, I'd say 5 to 7 interviews successfully under your belt, when someone Googles you and you're popping up all over because you have these interviews, they are far more likely to say yes than somebody that's never been interviewed. You just have to get the first 3, you get comfortable, and now you're cranking out 7, 10, 20, or 255, whatever. The more interviews you have under your belt, the more famous you make yourself, the more people are going to seek you out, the more reporters are going to seek you out. The more random podcasters are going to pop into your inbox on Facebook and say, hey, I want to interview you, Dr. Rob Garcia. You have a cool story. I saw some live you were doing. You sound awesome. Can I interview you? Hell yeah. Let's talk. All right. So anyway, I've covered mindset. I've covered making the database. I've covered don't be boring. I've covered some of the best media angles that are out there that will help you. And honestly, guys, it's not that hard to secure media coverage. There's so many options out there with blogs, podcasts, newspapers, TV, freaking Facebook Lives, radio. There is so much out there. YouTube shows. So just develop your angle and go get that media coverage. It's waiting for you. I'm literally going to write somebody as soon as I end this live and say, hey, here's my Calendly. Let's get that interview going because I got an invite. And then I'm going to pitch my client who fixes classic Pontiac cars to a bunch of automotive podcasts. That's how this works. All of you guys can get coverage. Every one of you watching this, especially on TikTok, if you want media coverage, it's not hard to do. Figure out your angle, create your database, pitch yourself properly and professionally, and there you go. All right. That's all I got for today. I hope you guys have a phenomenal weekend. Tomorrow's the Service and Sacrifice Gala, hosted by Blue Lapis Media at Sequan Casino in San Diego. Come out and visit us if you want to check it out. You can Google it online. If you want to come out and have a ribeye, you can still get tickets. If you want to sponsor a table, message me. It is a phenomenal event giving out awards to veterans in the community that are doing great things. Understand that these events are a way of recognizing veterans that are out doing awesome stuff. So as an Air Force veteran going on 25 years this year, I'm really proud to support it. Brett Davis and Sarah, his wife, do a great job with this event. This is their second annual Service Sacrifice Gala. And we got Mike Brannigan from Doc's Roofing flying into San Diego, getting lunch with me today. I'm super excited about that. And we're going to be making a massive announcement for old Mike because he has a new book coming out. But that is a story for a different life. All right. We will end with thanking a sponsor, Mike's Damascus Knives. If you guys cook or need cutlery, check out mikesdamascusknives.com. Mike can even engrave your name and your military rank on the knife, which is pretty cool. These last forever, hand-forged in Utah with premium materials at Mike's Forge. Never, ever purchased from a different country only because they use substandard materials. Check out Mike's Damascus Knives. Made here in America, forged. It's American. Great company. I love what Mike does. He's been featured on Forge and Fire, everyday carry knives, utility, kitchen. Mike's Damascus Knives. His name's Mike Peterson. Thank you for sponsoring all my lives. I really appreciate you, Mike, and all you do. All right. That's all I got. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate you. I'm Rob Garcia, the Warrior Strategist, your favorite PR strategist in San Diego. And as always, stay famous. See you next time, Lori Wagner.